I'm interested in what Logan just said, and do you listen to your own shows?
Repeatedly? Just my parts. You know, to be when you edit, you go and edit out the other guys and get kind of your own copy. A lot of times I'll make a bad joke and I'll get no response from either of them, and I'll cut that out because it makes me look bad. You know what? I always try to, not every show, but I do try to listen to them because we'll notice the things that we do subconsciously. Like, we'll have words that we say all the time, admittedly, and ostensibly, in Wheelhouse, these are certain words. So and awesome are other words. You know, but you do pick up on the things that you're doing, the things that you're not doing right. I think that, like, a sort of level of quality control. Like, one of the things we've had to catch ourselves doing is that we will talk about something amongst ourselves, like we assume everybody knows it, and we've had to make an effort to, when we start talking about a book, not just act like everybody knows what it is. Like, oh yeah, it's like when Sienkiewicz did that, you know, and we have to go back and explain that. That's been a habit we've had.
And part of that's been a challenge with doing our video show because I mean, and you know, audio people listen to the audio show, and there's a certain number of people who listen to that, and with the video show, then there's a number there. We found that it's a different audience, and quite often the video people watching the video aren't necessarily, you know, the diehards that we and I assume most of you are. So when we're talking about something like, oh yeah, that's like when Ennis did Hitman. So anyway, and we got to stop and say, you know, Hitman was a character for Batman and all that kind of stuff, and it's really a way to bring people, because part of what, at least what I think what we do really well is open it up to new people and not really try to be a closed kind of, you know, like you got to be in and know exactly what everything's talking about, and that really took years to figure that out.
But to actually answer the question, yes, we do have. I mean. Someone's got to edit the show, someone's got to do the show notes, someone, you know, so that's listening. The video show, if anyone's ever video edited, I do the show by heart in your head after you've done editing because you've heard the same phrase 14 times and just want to tweak that one little bit. And I don't want to watch the video shows ever after I finish editing them because I can't watch certain things over and over and over again. That's just the nature of video editing. But you have to. You can't just put it out there and go. You have to quality control. You have to make sure it sounds okay and everything works.
Yeah, I in general, I'll listen to an episode that I edit, I'll listen to it 3 times. And it sounds silly, but you know, obviously we listen to it while we're recording it, and that's part of the recording process, is just know how conversation is flowing, etc. And then whenever I'm doing the edit, you're obviously listening to it again, and then I'll usually try and listen to a clean edit to make sure that everything worked out fine. And then, you know, Sal and I have been splitting editing duties, which I would suggest to anyone that, you know, does podcasting. Split editing duties, it takes a lot of the grind off. And of course, whenever, you know, he edits the show, I'll listen to mine. So
we just we simply don't edit. We press start, we press stop.
I'm shocked.
And we let it go. I mean, unless like
we hate you.
And that's been kind of like part of the show. The fact that it's very natural, and because we don't edit, we're not trying to put on a show. We're simply recording what we say. And I think there's a bit of a difference there. And so I don't re-listen to episodes once in a while. Like yesterday, or earlier in the week, I was doing a little work on the website, and I double-clicked on a file accidentally and started playing. I'm like, oh, let's leave that go. And it was like episode 19 or something. It was so long ago. You know, you kind of cringe a little bit. But Peter, the producer of the show, he probably listens to each episode 5 to 10 times over some period of time. I mean, because he's the historical nut, and he memorizes everything there could possibly be to know. So he knows show trivia like he knows comic trivia because he's obsessed with it. And but personally, I don't think the other guys, well, maybe Shane, but like those other guys never listen to any show ever. I don't think.
I'm really anal when it comes to our editing, and I think I over-edit to an extent, and I listen to a show like CGS, and they just kind of let things roll, and sometimes I'm just like, yeah, you know, I probably over-edit to a certain extent by making things too smooth.
You can fall down the black hole of editing. I mean, we split it amongst the 3 of us, and early on, I was doing a lot of this, just starting it off with the editing, and I would spend, for an hour, our audio show typically is an hour, and for an hour show, I mean, it would be like 4 or 5 hours of editing. I ummed here, let me get that out, and wait, you know, like something. And so early on, I set a rule for myself. I mean, Josh Power might do it differently, but I edit for the length of the recording. And so I know we record for an hour, so I'm going to edit for an hour, and then at some point, you just got to let go.
A funny story from Sean Leland, who does Raging Bullets. I talked to him, it was a World Chicago a couple years ago, and we were talking about editing, and this is whenever they were first starting, and Jim had started with him. He said that he went through an episode and took out something like 240 you-knows from Jim. And I was like, dude, he's like, it took you 12 hours. Oh my God, you're crazy.
I think I only ever listen to it when I'm just doing the regular pass-through editing, and I try to do it with you guys. I just don't want to take out everything. I would like to not edit. I would like to just drop those in, put the music in, and have it be great. But I often find that there's these long pauses where I'm flipping through trying to find the panel that I want to talk about, because I'm too stupid to mark this stuff before I actually do it. It's like, oh, where's that panel? I have to read it, and you hear the sound of the pages flipping. Not good radio. No.
See, we have the advantage, because we have so many people, we now have gotten the hang of when someone is looking for something like that, then the other guys just kick up some random conversation to keep the ball rolling or whatever, and then we aren't stuck with the dead air time. And in the beginning, we probably had a lot more of that, but it's a skill that we've all learned to kind of read each other's our faces and say, okay, I need to filibuster here until somebody else knows what they're doing.
Well, they were lucky enough to get to do it in the same room. We did that. We've done that probably 20 times. So for the most part, it's over Skype, and you're at the mercy of Skype. So for a while, it runs on a really bad network, which caused a delay. With every time he talks, there was like a 2-second delay between when we heard it, which was really awkward and really hard to have a conversation for an hour. But then you have to edit all that out. Otherwise, it would have been, yes, so what did you think? I liked it. Like every had a delay after it. We had to go in and we had to cut all those out just because you had to.
And part of that though is learning how to. We went to school for like TV and radio and stuff, but that was 10 years ago.
That was a horrible mistake.
Yeah. and everything's different now. So, but there's like basic kind of idea of it. But like I know for me, I've learned a lot about everything. And in that kind of situation, I can look at the audio file and see the gaps.
I can recognize an from the waveform.
And you recognize each other's voices when you look at an audio file and say, that's Josh, or that's Connor.
Yeah, but I wanted the high piece. Yeah,
it's like that is Tom's voice there. I can see audio, and it's really weird.
It's a little like The Matrix.